You step through a red lacquer gate that groans under its own weight. Morning dust swirls like secrets. Distant drums match your racing heart. A voice cuts through the air. There's a test coming that will decide everything. They call it the gecko's kiss shragongsha, a tiny drop of red cinnabar painted on your skin that supposedly disappears when you lose your virginity. Nobody knows if there's real science behind it or just another control mechanism. The courtyard stretches before you, packed with girls standing rigid as fence posts. Silk gowns whisper secrets as bodies shift nervously. An officer counts scrolls while a caged cricket chirps frantically, like nature itself is warning you. The stories stick like tree sap. One red dot, one life under scrutiny. If the mark fades, you're damaged goods. If it holds, you might be chosen. Either way, powerful eyes are watching. Eyes forward, barks a eunuch whose fingers are permanently stained with ink. His record book reeks of must and approaching storms. When he writes names, each stroke feels like a coffin nail being hammered. A senior matron with silver hair approaches, unrolling clean linens. Yanshen. She announces body examination. Her hands have delivered babies and prepared bodies for burial. She knows flesh like a craftsman knows tools. Gossip spreads faster than official announcements. The emperor's household demands perfection, another candidate whispers. No flaws, no history, no complications. You run your thumb over the tiny red speck and imagine it's a lucky star instead. Beyond these walls, the capital hums with normal life merchants hawking goods, horses clopping down cobblestones, sunlight dancing on water. Inside here, your existence has shrunk to one small red mark and barely manageable breathing. The matron checks your pulse using the ancient method, 3 fingers pressed to your wrist, counting different rhythms. Strong heart, she murmurs. She searches your eyes for fever, hands for tremors. How old are you? The scribe calls out. What family? Which province? Each question creates another hurdle in an impossible maze. Your answers determine which path opens. Nobody asks about your dreams. A polished wooden box clicks open, revealing delicate porcelain, fine brush, and vermilion powder that glows like crushed rubies. The matron rolls her eyes. Pure superstition, she mutters, but still dabs fresh dots on every arm. The mark burns against your skin like a tiny coal. You picture the gecko from old stories fed liquid mercury until it glowed, then ground into powder for this ritual. Ancient ink pulling truth from flesh. Next in line, your cloth sandals scrape across floors polished to mirror brightness. You brush past a tapestry showing cranes in flight. One loose thread catches your sleeve like a ghost. In the outer hall, they judge how you carry yourself. Turn around, commands the officer. Walk to the wall and back. Your shadow follows like a stranger who gets to vote on your destiny. A girl near you coughs a desperate prayer into her sleeve. Another faints without sound, crumpling like paper. The line shifts to fill the gap as if she never existed. The ledger doesn't pause. Your mind drifts to the village fortune teller paper charms and teeth yellowed from incense. That red dot reveals everything, she'd sworn. But the midwife who raised you just laughed. Child, that dot tells whatever story people need. A copper basin sits cooling in the corner, steam rising like departed spirits. Drink this, the matron instructs. You sip bitter tea until your thundering heartbeat stops sounding like a stampede. 2 competitors huddle on a nearby bench, whispers sharp as daggers. Her cousin ran off with a merchant. His uncle paid off a clerk. One well-placed rumor can snuff out futures faster than wind kills candles. Your turn comes again. A screen slides open with a whisper. The new matron has eyes clear as well water. No romantic entanglements, she states matter-of-factly. No secret marriages. You nod obediently. Her examination is thorough but respectful, checking actual health rather than chasing legends, ensuring safety rather than putting on shows. Still, you feel the weight of painted eyes staring from carved ceiling beams. A drum thunders outside. Inside, a writing brush snaps in half. The scribe curses, then flashes a razor smile at a passing court lady. The world runs on tiny accidents that somehow tip entire lives sideways. They escort you to a smaller chamber filled with blue-gray light that feels like dawn before execution. Whatever you do, don't scratch that mark, a servant warns, as if nervous fingers could literally smudge away fate. The candidate beside you can't stop rubbing her dot, red growing darker and angrier with each nervous scrape. Fear spreads across her arm like spilled ink mixing with water. "Stop," you whisper urgently. "Just let it set." News travels about a girl sent packing at the gates. Rumors claim it wasn't because her dot faded, but because fever burned in her eyes. Real reasons never spread as far as pretty lies. Officials march your group past a courtyard where pine trees stand trimmed into perfect shapes. In the shade, an actual gecko blinks lazily, real lizard with soft pulse beating in its throat, almost embarrassed by the myths. The head matron waves you into the record room, where bamboo scrolls and silk documents gather dust like old memories. Everything here, she explains, represents promises that the past keeps trying to honor. She taps the leather ledger with authority. "We document medical facts and family histories, not folklore." Then her voice drops. "But remember, legends can destroy you faster than any actual disease. Red wax seals wait like sleeping embers. Bells ring in the distance, sound carrying through stone corridors like ghosts." A young eunuch hurries past, anxiety bright in his eyes. "The bedchamber bureau needs final lists before sunset," he mutters. The paperwork sighs like exhausted animals. You can almost see that bureau chambers nested inside chambers, locks within locks, doors that open onto scheduling calendars, calendars that open onto lists of names. Some nights the emperor sleeps alone. Others, political landscapes shift completely. Before fear can silence you, the question escapes: why use the dot at all? The matron studies your forearm and smiles like a doctor examining imaginary illness. Because people get terrified when they can't measure the unmeasurable. But can it actually tell anything? You press harder. She shakes her head with weary certainty. It tells one story. Someone desperately wanted proof of the unprovable. That's it. Outside, a magpie cackles like it knows secrets. A rival glides closer, silk rustling like wind through grass. "Word is," she murmurs with poisoned honey, "the ink disappears overnight if you're not pure enough." Her smile carries a clear message. "I'm the hurricane your house can't survive." You refuse the bait. The palace operates like a vast lake, calm surface, hiding depths full of invisible strings pulled by unseen hands. Somewhere beyond these walls, ceremonial gates swing open with calculated cruelty. They assign you spotless, sparse quarters, hollow enough for thoughts to bounce like caged birds. Under the oil lamp's glow, you study your forearm and watch the dot settle into distant moon color. The wall displays a painted proverb: "When bamboo bends, it survives the storm." You wonder about the artist who brushed those characters. Did they learn to bend first, or break and find wisdom? Night thickens like black honey. You taste the metallic weight of silence pressing down. In the courtyard below, water clocks tick with mechanical stubbornness, measuring time toward a morning that might not want you. Sleep brings strange visions. 1,000 geckos covering the palace roof, each blinking forbidden truths into darkness. You dream your mark crawls off your skin and transforms into a comet that simply refuses to fall. A horn blasts you awake. Footsteps drum like heavy rain on stone. The head matron returns with 2 clerks and an atmosphere thick with ancient paperwork and medicinal herbs trailing behind her. She examines the dot not like a judge delivering verdict, but like a seamstress admiring clean stitchwork. "No change," she records. The words mean absolutely nothing and absolutely everything. depending on who's keeping score. The younger clerk squints suspiciously. But her neighbor's mark got darker, he points out, as if darkening were criminal. The matron clicks her tongue. Cinnabar powder always dries darker. Learn to read before judging. A collective exhale ripples through the room. You feel your skeleton return like birds coming home to roost. For one precious moment, you exist as an actual person rather than a walking rumor. Then a new official sweeps in blue silk robes, winter ice eyes, carrying the stench of old tobacco and fresh authority. He bears credentials from the capital and a dangerous talent for turning minor dust into major storms. He unfurls an official scroll. The throne values extreme caution above all else, he announces. Any scandal spreads like wildfire through court. We select only candidates completely beyond question. He never defines what beyond question means. Your silk-clad rival bows with calculated precision deep enough for respect, shallow enough to avoid desperation. Her fresh dot gleams like wet lacquer. She locks eyes with you and deliberately steps on your shadow. Another round of testing. Posture, speech, calligraphy flowing across rice paper. You grind ink stick against stone until shoulders burn. Characters bloom black as raven feathers across the page. Loyalty, restraint, silence. An official hands you needle and thread. Repair this. You carefully stitch a torn silk petal back onto an embroidered flower, as if reversing damage were just another expected household skill. The palace physician listens to your breathing again, checking for sickness lurking in your lungs. Clean, he confirms with a satisfied nod. The word hits you like permission to keep existing. By midday, air shimmers with heat and tension. Your options have narrowed to a single hallway. A ceremonial drum beats once, sharp as a blade. The court lady reads names that float free from their owners, and yours rises. You drop to knees on stone that bites through fabric. Selected for training, she announces not yet for imperial favor, not yet for bedchamber, not yet for history books, just for the corridor that might eventually lead there. Your hand hovers over the dot without touching. The head matron catches your gesture, eyes holding quiet, stubborn kindness that cuts through ceremony. Go eat something, she orders, as if food could armor spirits. Sometimes it can. Steam rises from bamboo baskets in the kitchen courtyard like temple incense. You discover the first palace truth. Gossip grows fastest where people go hungry. You swallow rice like burying seeds against coming drought. News arrives about scandal erupting in another wing. Someone holding up a blood-stained sheet like a battle flag. Blood as proof, a servant whispers. The matron's expression turns arctic. Disgusting theater, she hisses. Cruel, pointless theater. She pulls you aside, voice dropping like a locked door. Pay attention, she says. No examination can prove what people demand it prove. Only human decency and real danger matter now. Walk very carefully between those forces. Afternoon brings etiquette training, music lessons, tutorials on reading facial expressions. You practice bowing to a carved mask that never changes its expression. The mask stays the same. You must become someone new. Wind plays the pavilion chimes like a skilled musician, melody too perfect, slightly artificial. Your rival's laughter drifts across the courtyard, sweet as expensive perfume but dangerous as smoke. At sunset, the ranking officer returns, carrying a smaller ledger, the one determining room assignments and daily duties. He dips his brush with careful slowness, like someone feeding a sword blade into black ink. When he reads assignments, your name lands in the scholar's wing, studying, ceremonies, language work safely distant from the bedchamber's political machinery. Relief washes over you like hot tea after walking through snow. Your rival's name gets called somewhere else entirely. Candles flicker and spit. Night presses against windows. In rooms you'll never see, political wheels turn with practiced smiles. You step onto the lantern-lit balcony, and look out over the sprawling city below. Beyond palace walls, normal life continues breathing. The dot on your arm has faded to distant star color. You decide, this mark won't define you. Here's the secret that will never appear in official palace records. The so-called virginity test was always just a story power's favorite disguise. And in places like this, stories can cut deeper and leave worse scars than any physical blade.